It's like funny to have lots of because
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway.
I
think that performance and music, like art in general, is kind of just like, it's really weird to talk about it intimately, but I get really intense feelings from doing it and from listening to it, and like I'm also around a lot of people that do, and people that don't even do music that still really like music and like watch performances and really get like a thrill out of it. It's still like really kind of culture. It's like really, yeah, like there's a ritual to like a performance, I think.
That you enjoy? That you enjoy
yeah.
The rituals.
Well, I guess so, and I guess I like did it before I really could question it, but now I can see it more as a construct. Because like, you know, there are like people that just listen to like the radio in their car and like Kanye West on their iPod, who like don't really engage with live music as a thing. Like there are live music is still like a specialty in some way. Which is, I feel like, you know, the reason like we can be apathetic to go to a gig is because like we can also access a lot of music, like this is like something I made ages ago. We're just like listening to it now on the internet, and we're like creating an experience for ourselves, which is like a miniature performance. Like we don't necessarily always feel the need to go to a big, like the bigger the performance, you're kind of skeptical as to the value of it or something.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a thing of these times.
But like I like the way that we just kind of perform all the time and don't really.
Yeah, it's there's a fluidity between.
Which, yeah, I think there's still. I think there is still like a thing that is like still leaning towards traditional performance, but it's still really fluid. That is really interesting, and I guess that's like with improvised music, maybe.
Yeah.
But then there's also like that amazing. Like I also appreciate. Like I watched some recitals, some classical recitals, and I watched Maddie's recital the other day, which is like classical. So it's like really non-spontaneous. It's the opposite of spontaneous. It's like the Kunze thing of like really working on something.
Yeah.
And like
refining.
Making it. And like they were just like incredible. And I was just like, yeah. When you're doing it, it might feel like not even that good. It might just feel like work. Like, but then you make something that someone else is just like, Jesus, that's really... You can just have like a really intense experience.
It's sort of giving up your own... I mean, like... With improvising, when you improvise something really nicely, it's sort of, it has your own, you appreciate it almost as an audience member would appreciate it, because it is like sort of straight up kind of happening just before you, and it's like, you've never seen it before, like the audience has never, is that a thing? Do you reckon like practicing something over and over again, it might give you... It's like someone who works on a movie, how they'd watch the movie they worked on, in a completely different way to someone who's never seen it before.
Yeah.
Is that like actually?
Yeah, maybe it's like really good. Well, yeah, performance.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah,
like that they would view it. Playing. Yeah. So.
Yeah, because like, you know, like for instance, Maddie gave this recital. Like the recital was the performance. But she was doing so much of it. Like, she was playing to people, like, just to colleagues and stuff. Like, other really good players of, like, other instruments. And just, like, playing it. And then just, like, give feedback and stuff. As a knowledgeable audience to it.
Yeah.
Who would, like, understand the kind of structures at play and shit in the way that, like, somebody who doesn't do that music wouldn't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like, ups the ante, do you reckon? In, like...
Yeah. And like I've done it like before auditions. I just like play for people and they kind of give feedback and then you kind of keep practicing shit.
Yeah.
It's really funny. It's totally a construct, but it's good. I like the results.
Yeah,
well,
it makes different things to the non-construct. I mean, like it's just about variety, I guess.
Yeah, it was really good. Like she did this French Baroque piece by Couperin with like a viola da gamba and a harpsichord. And it was just like so fresh. Like it was so like all the ornamentations were really nice, and like she had really nice like phrasing and stuff. And it just like sounded really, really good. Like really clean, really clear. Everything like was really had a lot of clarity and like a lot of energy. Kind of, it's really good.
Is it in playing something quite like that where you practice a lot and you work up to it, and it's an old piece which is sort of there's an expectation almost behind it.
Yeah.
Do you have to kind of resign your ego or something a little bit when doing that? Is it Is it sort of like?
It's like a weird middle ground. It's like learning the style and then kind of like getting satisfaction out of like doing a certain thing within that style, maybe.
But
Does that
you
make
do
sense?
you play things which aren't. Well, I don't know.
Like I've played Bach and shit, where like you kind of have to. You can just like not take any of the history into account, or you can kind of like listen to recordings and like do or like there are people who do a degree in historical performance, like in play, like the people that she played with was like a harpsichord player and a viola da gamba player who like specialize in that music. And like the other day, I played this Baroque concert when you went to the Desire Alliance thing.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I don't know much. I don't really know anything about playing Baroque music, but like they're all gamba players who like specialize in this music and like have kind of they know. Like my aunt knows a lot about just like how they play things.
Yeah.
Like you can like it's like actually dedicated to kind of playing music in the way Baroque performers play them.
Yeah.
It's like period performance, or like being like authentic, which is like amazing. It's like really constructed because it's also like who even like no one even really would know.
No one would know the
Except
difference.
just specified audience to know, but then it also like is still worth doing.
So the sort of.
It's like it creates an overall effect, even if like all the nuances aren't captured. It's just like on you because you know that there are nuances there that would exist hypothetically, even if they don't all get, even if there's a real difference to like that's like why a lesson is a thing because you like play for someone and they're like, all right, try this and this. Like that's sort of music pedagogy in general is just like like really casual performance with like little sculpting like comments from the teacher or something, or saying like, yeah, this is good, you should work on this. Like, you know, my lessons, like I might, like last year I might have like played something and then like my teacher would be like, alright, like try this and this, and like this would be really, like if I was playing like a classical piece, he'd be like, yeah, like it needs to be like really kind of a certain way to like capture that energy, like the feeling, like he just like knows shit about the different, you know, this piece was written in this time and therefore there are kind of these performing it, like there's like these ways to achieve kind of contrast with it, with something else, like with something that was written in like the late 1900s or something. Like there's a history of performance, like in the way.
So how does that change the way you play it, or does it just? I mean,
just have, like,
does
you
just
just have a
having
construct
that
of
in
it.
your mind, does it just imagining its context when it was written, does that just like
Yeah,
change?
the more you learn
immediately?
about it, then like the more you can kind of.
In what way does it change how you play there? I mean, what do you?
I'm working on like what people have told me, which could all be made up. It could be just like, but like it's all
But
people.
what kind of
it's
things
all
would
people
they,
that
what
are
kind of
saying-
things would they tell you?
Well, like so with like you know if you're playing like if I was in an orchestra that was playing like a Mozart symphony, and then like a Brahms symphony, and then a Mahler symphony, like within all of those, there will be lots of different, like really stylistically different things. Because like Mozart kind of has a vibe of like a type of bow stroke.
Right.
Like there's a thing called like spiccato, which is like bouncing your bow to create like a short note.
Yeah.
And there's like different styles of that. Like later periods would do like different things to earlier periods. And so there's like a different, like a really good orchestra like will play all of the really stylistically different, like it's really subtle shit. Like
That
type
no
of
one would
bow stroke.
even. I mean,
well, like,
only the
but then
experts
it
would
does
know.
create, yeah, like, but it's still to the listener creates a different sound, like a subtly
It
different
would.
sound.
Do you say you think that's almost there's like a subconscious? Like, do you think they'd go away from the performance thinking of it differently if it was played in like a
Yeah.
really subtly
I
different
think
way?
there's like subtle ways of experiencing stuff,
Okay.
and like, yeah, there's a like you would have a different experience watching like a high school orchestra play to like a really kind of top world orchestra.
But
Like you'd
that's
have a
like
different
those
experience.
are perceivable, even by the layman. Like the
Exactly.
differences between
But
those.
that's what I'm saying. And then the middle ground is just like it's more and more nuanced, kind of.
So that's what I'm saying. I feel like like wouldn't there be? I mean, to someone who doesn't have the ear for it, wouldn't like the the slight embellished way, slightly nuanced way of playing it. I don't know, like yeah. So you think that there's like a there would be a subconscious like
It's just
difference in experience almost.
Yeah, because like there's a lot of people striving for like a really high standard of playing that's all historically based.
Yeah.
And like that just kind of creates a good average, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Do you ever make things that you never intend for anyone else to hear?
Did I finish this? Oh, yeah. I think when I'm making computer music, I'm not even really thinking about like a listener. I'm just thinking about like me as the listener and the maker.
Well, what about as like an intention, an active intention, never to like show anyone it?
Are you asking if I've ever done that?
Yeah, like as a conscious thing, you make something that you never consider being shown to anyone. And like something you make and then delete afterwards.
Yeah, maybe I've done that. Yeah.
Can you just in music?
Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Like, I reckon I've done things that are really straight up like emulation. Which is like that thing I showed you before.
It's almost just like practice or something, and
It's just like fun to make because it still sounds good to me, but it also only sounds good for those reasons, for the reasons that someone else has already established.
Yeah.
Rather than like making something that sounds good on your own terms, maybe.
Yeah.
It's funny like talking about it's funny that I do think all these things, but they're also kind of challenging to me as I say them.
What, like the really copying thing? What
Just everything else. Like talking about the classical shit.
Oh, right, yeah.
And like Jesus, the video's been going for 11 minutes. It's so long.